After all y'all enjoyed my Mac collection back here, I figured I'd give you another collection of classics, my old iPod collection. This is more likely to be relatable for you guys who are millennials and never had any of this stuff. And I'm gonna go not from newest to oldest or oldest to newest, but actually smallest to biggest, because that's the most interesting way to look at it in my setup. So starting with the smallest is the 4th generation Ipod Shuffle. With 2 gigabytes of storage, I dropped my iPod Touch back in middle school, and I needed something as a replacement until I could get the screen fixed. I used it exclusively for about a month while I was learning how to fix my iPod Touch screen because I refused to use it with that shattered screen and be one of those people. I never forgave myself, and I promised no matter what, I would never drop another phone again. I could get a case, but it doesn't look as pretty. Those are my reasons, okay? Just deal with it. The iPod Shuffle has a resolution of 1. That's it. It has 1 pixel, a green light or orange light when it's charging. It didn't use an old 30-pin connector. It doesn't use a lightning connector. It charged through a headphone jack. Yeah, I didn't know that could do that either. But since it's a low amount of power, it can, it could handle that. And it was very good at doing what it was for, which was just playing music. You could get quite a lot of control out of those buttons, and it was very simple and usable for that month that I had it. And to this day, it still works. Up next is the 2nd generation iPod Shuffle, which looks very similar, just a little wider. This was my sister's first iPod. It also charged through the headphone jack, and it's purple and it's got a gigabyte of storage. To me, this comparison to the last Shuffle is a good example of how tech is getting smaller and better, because the last one had 2 gigs and was about 70% the size, and this old one had 1 gig and had all that extra space on it. That's how things get better over time. And then there's the Ipod Nano 6th generation, and this is really Apple's true first watch before the Apple Watch. But tons of third-party people made bands for this thing so you could use it as a watch. The clock app had different watch faces. This was intentionally supposed to be an iPod watch. Didn't sell very well, but it was like a foreshadow to the Apple Watch. And I used it as a watch as I had one. I wore it my entire freshman year of high school, and it was great. It was a great conversation starter, which was perfect because I wasn't. My best friend Xander Kangle has one himself, and he still uses it today. It's a cool way to look techie and hip, so you fit in with all the cool kids without having to spend a bunch, because it's a lot cheaper than buying a full Apple Watch. It was a first Nano with a touchscreen. Which brings us to our next iPod Nano, the Ipod Nano 3rd generation. This was my older sister's first iPod, and this was a big milestone for the Ipod Nano because it had video, you could put pictures on it, and even some basic games, which at the time was like, what? And that was a big deal. My mother still uses one in her classroom as just a nice little offline Pandora station. It does its playlists, it still works. Since there's no moving parts inside it, there's nothing that can go wrong most of the time. I get there's exceptions. Next up is what I think is the best iPod Nano, or best iPod in general that didn't run iOS, the Ipod Nano 5th generation. They went all out with this guy, okay? So it had a beautiful portrait mode screen, but when you turned it down, you got that awesome cover flow look. And it also had a camera. And to this day, it's the only iPod Nano with a camera. It wasn't a good camera, I know, but they were just like, you know what, screw it. Put everything in there. Ran games great. There was a 16 gigabyte option. The Ipod Nano 5th generation was incredible when it came out, and my best friend, yeah, see, I do have friends, Ross Clark, still uses his on a daily basis. Runs great, works great, he's kept it clean, and it was tremendously cool when it came out for us, being, 6th graders. Somewhere around there. Now, my first iPod was a 4th generation Ipod Nano, which didn't have the camera and the screen wasn't as big. And it's since been handed around to other people and lost, and I don't know where it is, which is sad. My first Apple product, I still don't have it. You'll definitely know about it on Twitter if I ever find it. Follow us on Twitter. I tweet all the time, guys, come on. And somewhere around here, I have that 120 gigabyte iPod Classic. I'm not exactly sure where it is.
These stupid touchscreens and these stupid iOS devices. I shall bring back the click wheel once and for all, and everyone will once again love the iPod.
Anyway, I'm probably gonna die tonight, and this is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.